This video is going to be such a banger one that I even put on my glass for you guys. Well, let's get into straight to the video. I have booked 5 calls last week, even though I was in Rome. Can you guys believe that? Now, of course, without proof, you won't believe me. So let's start with the calendar. In Monday, 26th of May, 27th of May, 13th of May, 31st of May, we have 5 book calls as you can see right here, guys. But also, we have here something really fascinating. Pictures of me being in Rome. Like, oh my god, a lot of pictures like about my girlfriend, because this is this is the boyfriend life. Okay, let's get straight to the point. Today I'm going to show you how I achieved this because this month, May, I had 13 booked calls in total with an atrocious closing rate. But what means is that I have realized how to brainwash myself to get booked calls consistently on my calendar. Because if you go to April, as you can see right here, 4th of April, 1 booked call, 22nd of April, 24th of April, and 28th of April, 4 booked calls. 4 booked calls on April. And I had 5 book calls just last week. So it's a huge difference. And in May we had 13. So it's a big difference, guys. And this is a completely new offer. So it's like we had a completely new offer, booked 13 calls and almost closed no one. But still, there was booked calls on our calendar. So I want to talk to you guys how to do this, because a lot of people do suffer with booking calls, and I think I cracked the code. And today, if I reveal it to you, I hope that for some reason from now on, you will never going to suffer with booking calls. And there's just one thing I want to get out from my brain and put it down, like just push it down in your throat so you understand to get booked calls. And even though I'm a little stupid right now, I'm going to tell you this. It's systems. And you're like, what the freak, Robert? You have already know about systems. Why do you want to talk about systems for us? Well, guys, if you know about systems, why don't you have a lot of book calls on your calendar? Because you don't know systems in the right way. So that's why I'm here. I'm going to tell you how systems work so you finally get book calls on your calendar. Firstly, there is an input, there is a process, and there is an output. Now you guys have already heard that, and you're like, okay, Robert, I've seen nothing, I'm going to click off this video. But that's the thing. If you don't understand this, and you're not happy about this, or the existence of this, you don't know systems well enough. And the reason I say this is because right now, you guys have a system of getting clients. Like, you're like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck does that mean? Well, think about it. There is an input, there is a process, and there's an output. Everything basically is some sort of an input which goes through a process and has an output. And if you don't get clients right now, what that means is that either your input or your process doesn't work. And that's not about IG or YouTube or Loom or cold email. No, it's not about that. It's about how you put in the input or what your process is doesn't get you booked calls. You don't get clients. And so if you would really understand how systems work, you would know that even though you haven't built a system to get you booked calls, you have right now a system that is not working. So what you need to do right now is understand what system you have and how to change it. Because the problem is not that you don't have a system, the problem is that your system sucks. That's all. Because you have a system, just it doesn't work. So everything is a system. And now that you know that you have a system, but you just haven't written it down or you just don't know about it, now you can understand actually how systems work. So right now, let's talk about IG outreach because that's the most common. Everyone knows about that. What we are going to talk about here is IG outreach. Now, you may be right now search for leads. I'm not going to change that. I'm going to put this one. You're right now searching for leads. Bro, this is just trash. My God, what the frick is this application? This is going to look sick. Search. Then you simply send a message or DM and you're waiting for a response. Which is what you do. Like you do this, you do this, you do this. And for some reason, you're not getting boot calls. Then let's think about where is the problem? Well, most likely you don't even know. So what we need to do is now implement systems. So what you're going to do is break down the system right now which you have into building blocks that happens throughout the way until you get a book call. So if I would show you my system right here for IG, this is how it looks like. This is what I do to get a book call. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, and boom. If something doesn't work, I have metrics so I can improve on them. And this is what you need to really just understand, guys. Like you have a system right now. Maybe it looks like this, or maybe it looks something completely different. But if you get calls, that's a system. If you don't get calls, that's a system. It's a system. So what you need to do is understand where is the bottleneck in the system. And the best thing or the best way to do that is draw down a throughput for yourself. Throughput is basically a measurement of how much something flows through on different sections. This was a really bad explanation, but I hope you understand what I mean. If you think that this is a pipe and there are gates here, and how much water goes through decides how good the throughput is in this thing. So if let's say the throughput's end is, a booked call, then if for some reason the water doesn't, drops down right here, then you don't get a booked call. So for some reason, at some part of your system, there is a big bottleneck. And until you don't solve that bottleneck, you're not going to get booked calls. So right now, you know that you have a system in place, which you don't even know about, but you have one. And you know that right now, the problem is that there is one bottleneck somewhere which doesn't let the water to flow through. And right now my camera turned off, so it's freaking good, guys. I'm so happy about that. But let's go through the video because I'm not going to stop. You need the value. I'm going to teach you this right now. So coming back here. If you understand these two things, then what you can do is truly use systems. Okay, what I'm doing is this, this, and this, and I don't get booked call. Let's change something. Through the feedback, you're simply going to change one or two things until you finally get a booked call. And if you don't get a booked call, you're not going to give up because that's just BS. You don't give up. You do it until you get a booked call. That's all. And when you finally have a way that it flows through, the water flows through, and you get a booked call, you're going to replicate that with volume. Because until something has a bottleneck, you shouldn't add volume to it. So right now, if you send 100 outreaches a day and you don't get even one positive response, but most likely you get one. So let's say you don't even get 5 positive responses. You shouldn't send more outreach. You should spend time thinking about how can you make the outreach better, because that's what's going to give you leverage. So if you understand this, let me show you the last step about systems. So right now you understand that you have a system in place which you don't even know about, but if you draw it down, if you draw down the throughput, you will understand where is the problem, you can solve it, and then we go to the 4 sections of a system. So if you have a system which let's say you don't even know about, but every system has 4 different sections, and I'm going to show you guys how that looks like. So the first step of the system is that you have a lot of input and you have no output. So this is a lot. Bro, what is this? This is a lot, and there is no output right here. This is the first stage of a system. The second stage of a system is that you have a lot of input and you have almost the same output. That's the second stage of the system. Right now, most of you guys are in this stage. You do a lot of input, but you don't get any kind of output. That's because something right here doesn't want to work. But if you solve it, you're going to make money. Good. The third stage is that you have input, you have output, but it's not equal. So you have somewhat of an input and you have more output. This is where you finally understand how can you optimize these processes in the system to get more output with less input. And when that's done, you have the fourth stage, which is basically this small input you increase like this, you add volume to it, and your output is going to be like this. Let's say you have a IGDM system which from every 100 message gets you 3 booked calls, like 3 booked calls. Then what you're going to do is hire 5 VAs and send 500 ones, and you have 15 booked calls per day, which is crazy. So this is what you need to about systems. If you don't know these ones, you're lost. And that's why I said that your system just sucks because you don't know these steps. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. If for some reason you like what I've talked about, you can follow me, or you can go book a call down below, or you can DM me on IG. I don't care, just do it. See ya.